But to others, it's corruption of traditions disguised as progress. Either way, it makes nothing better, only worse. So how do traditions survive when faced with deadly ideas pretending to be virtue? The border was corrupted based on enlightened progress. Well, that and the moron in charge would ingest a box of wine by noon. Crime fighting was redefined as oppressive. As a result, you got more crime and more victims. It's no wonder Trump's numbers are now surging. After all, when people don't get murdered, they tend to be grateful. Universities were corrupted. Instead of the search for truth, they became indoctrination factories. Even math became corrupted, where 2 + 2 can equal 22 as long as you hate the Jews. We often think of corruption as financial, but these days they don't steal your wallet as much as your soul. Look at biology. What is a woman when from something a toddler could answer to one a Supreme Court justice can't? It's enough to make Mother Nature want to get her tubes tied. Hell, even lesbians are now called bigots if they don't date men that pretend they're women. Which is why these little battles matter more than you think. Sure, it's just a restaurant and it's just a volleyball game or a magazine cover, but give it time. Before you know it, there's a man in your daughter's bathroom and you're the bad guy for objecting. For decades, we loved placing people into two camps. If you defended traditions, you were closed-minded. If you embraced change, however, you were open-minded. Forget consequences. It was about parading your virtue. It became easy to change things that weren't meant to be changed so easily. And we entered a world where we must pretend that prancing men on sidelines is progress, obese models were healthy, and drunk housewives egging their sexualized toddler to dance in front of strangers was heroic. Instead of what it really was, a cancer that eats away at our values like Joy Behar at a Pop-Tart factory. Which is why you gotta be vigilant. These things don't happen overnight. And they don't happen in a vacuum. Which reminds me, I gotta order my wife a birthday present. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He can cut his own hair with his razor-like brain. Fox and Friends weekend co-host Charlie Hurd. She shreds bad takes and punishes snowflakes. Elections correspondent at the Federalist, Brianna Lyman. She's the samurai with the side eye. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor, Cat Dave. And he's smarter than a scholar and makes old ladies holler. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former WNBA. Charlie, always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure to see you.
You brighten up my days and evenings and sometimes the middle of the night when you drop by. You know, this struggle between change and preserving tradition is not a new thing. But it seems like it's new and accelerated now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not a new thing because it's not been changed usually.
Yeah.
Because people have the wisdom of keeping it. And I'm reminded that you don't get to declare peace. Only your enemy can declare peace. Mm-hmm. And we can sit here and say, well, I don't care about the sign at Cracker Barrel. I don't care if you have dudes on the cheer team for some football team. What matters is the other side. If the other side is using this as a weapon to destroy things, then you have to suddenly sort of care about it. Mm-hmm. Like the words they use. If they want to say illegal, like undocumented migrant, I wouldn't really care about that, except it's wrong in the first place. And the second place, the reason they're pushing it is because they want to change the country so that they can get what they want out of it. And so we sit back and kind of shrug our shoulders and say, okay, I don't want to get involved in this, then they're going to win.
Yeah, and also they are compelling you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's
there is no opt-out.
Yeah, there's no opt-out. You're in or you're evil, Brianna, speaking of evil. I've noticed, though, that a lot of young men and women are somehow returning to basic values. Yeah. I mean, you see things like Jordan Peterson becoming very successful. Is this because they're seeing an erosion of the foundational institutions and they're looking somehow to find something?
Yeah, I think young people in particular, especially the younger half of Gen Z, are really tired of American traditions being replaced. Right? Nobody asked for Cracker Barrel to get rid of their Americana aesthetic. Nobody asked for guys to go on the cover of Sports Illustrated. These are top-down impositions that are bothering people. And that's why it's so disturbing, right? Because the rest of America doesn't agree with these things. And instead, we're being lectured to by these corporate elites who have a very, dystopian view of the world that they want to impose on us. And we're staying back and saying, this doesn't work, and we're rejecting that. It's why Cracker Barrel buckled this week. It's why Bud Light buckled. And I think it's why other companies should take a step back before they make any changes.
I also think that they are buckling, too, because people are sharing the risk.
Yeah.
It's now safer to say, I'm done with this, and you're not going to get canceled over it. Kat, is there a tradition that you feel the left has destroyed that should not have been destroyed?
Not that I can think of. I think the board cheerleaders are cute. I think
but they're designed for you.
I think they're cute. Yeah, I think they're cute. I'm not offended by them. I think there's a lot of great American traditions we still have, like dipping pizza in ranch, putting clothes on our dogs, turning to each other in the elevator and saying, I can't believe it's only Tuesday. There's plenty. And I think that what's important to remember, and something that's so important that we maintain, is that regardless of what's going on in the world around us, that we all have the freedom to engage with it as much or as little as we want. That what really matters is what you and your family do and what you've got going on. When I was growing up, we didn't have cable TV. The TV we had didn't work very well. We didn't really care. We read books. I got really into reading. We played outside. So I feel like, rather than get really angry, focus on your family, hug your family, and do the stuff that you want to do. Because that, to me, the traditions should come not from the greater culture, this amorphous thing, but you and your own family and what you think is best.
Yeah, I do think that is hard these days because you have so much stuff coming in that you cannot control, Tyrus. It's like nobody wants to get involved in a lot of this crap, but somehow they involve you. You get enlisted in it.
Well, I think the confusion is that a group of progressives have used a small minority group to push an agenda. And I don't think it's necessarily an infringement on tradition. I think they're using a group. There have always been trans people in this country. There's always been men who like to dress like women. It's been around for a long time. It's just when they start trying to make it to where there's something wrong with you if you're not accepting of it. Mm-hmm. And another thing is there's been this great attack on whiteness. Anything that's white is bad, and you need to get rid of it. The problem with that is nobody bothered to tell them that this country is white. So when you go after all the white stuff, at first, Whitey's like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. And then they mess with Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
And here, listen, and Cracker Barrel is not just for white people. It's also for, like, my wife, a white person who married a black man. And our beautiful dog. You know what they did today? Because I've been talking about Cracker Barrel for, like, what feels like 9 years.
I know.
They went to Cracker Barrel today, just for me. And they went in there, and they went into the general store, and guess what? It was fine.
Yeah.
And they picked out candies, and my wife took Georgie through memory lane of all the TV shows that she can't possibly watch now because they're inappropriate. And she sat in the rocking chair and ate the candy that she promised for me. I'm over it. But the point is like, Cracker Barrel made a correction. Now we can all move on. If you want to go to Cracker Barrel and go to their cool store and eat their pancakes, good for you. If not, move on. Mm-hmm. Just everyone needs to move on.